And we're back live. There's going to be a little bit different audio, and look, we're back in the old setup for this week and maybe some upcoming streams. You don't know that for sure. I'm going to double check, make sure my audio isn't too bad. I want you guys to let me know, but let me know how I sound. I will adjust accordingly. When you have to bring all the equipment cross country, it gets difficult. But let's see. Looks like everyone's having fun with the garage back there. Hey, what's up, Raw Gator? How's it going? Yeah, we do got the garage back. Let me move out of the way so you can see the car. So, pretty cool to be back for this weekend. All right, let's get into this. We had the final Fox race of the year, thank God. We will be looking at that. We'll get through the running order. We'll go through what little did happen today. I do have the broadcast behind me, so if anything changes, well, then I'll be able to know right when it happens. And right now, when you're looking at the cut line for the playoffs, Alex Bowman currently is the final one in, 3 points over Daniel Suarez, 11 over Ty Gibbs. And I can't see the rest just because my camera is in the way. It's right behind the camera. But be sure to click that like button and subscribe if you're new. And let's get into it. I'll turn it up a little bit. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. Hold on. The mic likes to make itself quieter. It's a little bitch. But I guess let's get into it. I turned it up, so I'll keep putting it up, but I'm also talking a little lower than I usually do because there is a bit of an echo compared to normal. So maybe just turn it up. That might be what you have to do. I'll put it up as much as I can, but at the same time, if it peaks it out on my end too, it's messing up. But let's get into the finishing order of this as Fox finally wraps up for the year. This race, the 2023 Toyota Save Mart 350, was 110 laps over 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 10 seconds. There were 2 cautions, first of which was complete BS, in my opinion. I think they could have not thrown the yellow for that one, unless there maybe there was a better camera. Maybe Chastain was going to Chastain the tire into the track. I don't know. But there were 6 leaders with 10 lead changes in it. Let's look at the finishing order of this race. We'll get into the super chats right after this. By the way, got Days of Thunder hat. That's pretty cool. I can thank my dad for that one. And this is going to wobble a little bit. Like I said, we're in a different setup, but we're going to get on into it here. First was Martin Truex Jr. with a dominating run today. Second was Kyle Busch. Third, Joey Logano. Fourth, Christopher Buescher. Then fifth, Chase Elliott. Sixth, AJ Allmendinger. After that, there was Michael McDowell in seventh. Eighth was Kyle Larson. Christopher Bell, ninth. And I believe Ross Chastain returns to the top 10 with a 10th place run. 11th goes to Harvick, then Stenhouse, Preece, Byron, and Bowman in the 15th spot. 16th goes to Brad Keselowski. Bubba Wallace, 17th, which for how he is on road courses, just finishing is a good one. Then from there, you have Ty Gibbs in the 18th spot. 19th goes to Austin Dillon. 20th, Corey LaJoie. 21st, Justin Haley, who I believe they said had the fastest lap of the race. Then you have Daniel Suarez, last year's winner here, finishing 22nd on the day. Ty Dillon, 23rd. 24th goes to Gilliland. Todd Gilliland, that is, because you remember, David did come back for a little while. You got Cindric in the 25th spot. Enfinger, 25th for Cindric, 26th for Enfinger, 27th for Harrison Burton. Eric Almirola, yesterday's winner, comes home 28th. We'll get into that a little bit. Then you got Chase Briscoe in 29th. Josh Bilicki rounding out the top 30. And the final guy on the lead lap, 31st spot, goes to Ryan Blaney. After that, 4 guys that were 1 lap down in this race. Eric Jones, 32nd. 33rd goes to Tyler Reddick. 34th, Zane Smith. Then 35th to Andy Lally. And then finally, last out of this race, Denny Hamlin. We'll get to that as well. I think that was the most legitimate caution of the day. But while we're doing that, let's get the post-race results up top as well as our upcoming streams. I'll get to those super chats now that you guys left. Let me pop some of them up here. Antar Das with the first one. Thank you for the $1.99. If the first caution didn't happen, 100% caution free. More than likely, I would say. But we don't know for sure. I mean, it was almost half the race or more than half the race to go. But I was definitely hoping for a caution-free race. We'll get into that. Tyler McGonigal, thank you for the $4.99. P14 for Byron. Honestly, that's a good run for him. Started P26. Listened to his radio all day, and the car was evil after 20 laps, and just bad overall. He was my pick, and, well, I finished ahead of Reddick, so that's good. My pick did, at least. Antar Das, thank you for another 5. Also, Mike Joy needs to hang it up. Too many gaffes from mistaking Truex for Hamlin in 2016, and the gaining, losing positions with the pit cycle. Yeah, that is something I think going into the next contract, I think we're going to see some switch. I think we're going to personally see Adam Alexander starting in 2025. I think Mike Joy at least deserves to have the kind of farewell tour that DW had personally. I think that. Though I do, to a degree, a pretty big degree, do kind of agree with you on that. Looking at Austin, thank you for the 5. Can someone please tell Mike Joy that Tony beat Denny in 2016, not Truex? He said it twice today. Fox needs new directors and producers. Agree. Tyler, thank you for another 5. Thank you for 2 more 5s here. Now to the good. William Byron wins the bracket challenge. Good for Byron. And it looks like they're... I was looking at the screen. It looks like they still have a little bit left of the broadcast, but they're going to their crappy football league that nobody watches. But Byron moves to second in points and on to a track that Hendrick has been good at. Garage 56 did good too. And then also, can we talk about Grant Enfinger finishing 26th, the best legacy car? That's crazy. Great race, and gosh, I love these no stage yellows. I agree with that one too. Let's get to a couple more here, and we'll get to the summary of the race and lead you into the off weekend. We do have a ton of stuff coming up, though, so don't want to, we'll keep you covered. We'll keep you covered here, NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Tentatively, Saturday, I'm doing that romance novel stream that I promised I'd do. I needed to find some time that I was off and that NASCAR was off, both at the same time. That seems like what it's going to be. And might have some cameo appearances, too. Wolfion 0617, thank you for the 5. Extremely disappointed. I normally love this track, but the cautions ruined it for everyone I was rooting for. I've been there. Let's see. Herschel, thank you for the 2-month membership. Happy for Lamar. Good work. Sucks for Chase's strategy. Well, I mean, he still finished 5th. I know he needs to win, but still a good run, all things considering, and coming back. Isaac, thank you for the 2. Sad fact, Ty Dillon just passed Gregson in points. Damn. Marky Mark, thank you for the 5. Freaking pain as a Blaney fan. What in the actual hell? You know what? Glad we're going to NBC. I added the help. Fred Dog, 81, thank you for the 2. At least there was no talk of a dumbass lost phone. Yeah. Caleb, thank you for the 10. Hot take. Racing was decent, but the 19 was too strong. A lot of racing midfield, but Fox didn't show it, and endless commercial breaks. 2 more super chats. We'll get into the summary of the race. Thank you, Austin, for another 2. In all fairness, NBC isn't much better. I personally think they are. And then Hunter Nixon Fishing, thank you for the 2. Harvick fan, and I'll take 11th at a route. Yeah, I mean, solid run for his last run in Sonoma. Let's get into what happened in this race, starting with stage 1. Remember, no stage yellows in this race. That's awesome. I hold to that, even though the race itself wasn't great. But looking at what happened in this race, Toyota started out pretty damn hot. They were in the top 5 early, and they looked really, really strong. Then really the only other thing that happened in stage one was Blaney speeding down pit road and had to, or speeding or had a tire issue. He had a penalty and he had to do a pass through. That was really the only major thing that happened in stage one, to be honest with you. But the stage one results were Denny Hamlin winning the stage. Pretty good stage point wise for him today on that, and getting a playoff point. He needed that after the pretty poor showing that we'll, again, talk about in a little bit. By the way, lick that like button. Come on, let's get those likes up there, guys. I know you guys can get them up there. Looking after him, there was Truex in second. Third was Bell. Fourth, AJ Allmendinger. Fifth, McDowell, who had probably, honestly, his strongest non-super speedway run, honestly, maybe ever in a NASCAR race. But good run for McDowell. Then you had Reddick in sixth. Seventh was Buescher. Eighth was Ty Gibbs. Alex Bowman in the ninth spot. After Bowman, you have this pulled up. After Bowman, you have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Then you go to stage two. We stay green, looking clean and green at this point. On lap 33, you have Truex get past Denny Hamlin for the lead. At this point, the race is pretty much Martin Truex's to win. About 20 laps, almost 20 laps later on lap 50, a caution is out for a tire in pit road. Personally, I was not a big fan of it. I think they could have collected that thing up. But I'll ask you guys on it. To start a poll here, was the caution for the tire on pit road? Tire on pit road. I can spell road, I swear. I swear I can. Legit. Yes or no? Leaving that poll up there, or maybe not. I don't know why it's... All right. There it goes. Good Lord. Anyway, I personally thought that they could have got someone to collect it. Maybe I just didn't get the good vantage point because of TV, which is very likely. TV has been to the detriment of NASCAR this year, but is where it is. Lap 54, after 4 laps of caution, we get a restart, shuffles the field up a little bit, and because of that, Kyle Busch will win stage 2. He wins it over Joey Logano in second, then Ross Chastain, William Byron fourth, fifth Stenhouse, sixth Dillon, seventh Truex, eighth McDowell, ninth goes to Bell, and 10th goes to Harvick. That leads us to the final stage of the race, the final half, I believe, the race. Wow, I'm actually looking at the screen and Fox is interviewing people post-race. How about that? Probably because of the shorter race. But anyway, we go to the final stage, lap 65. Really, the only real action early on was spins. Austin Dillon would get loose, and then Gibbs gets in the back of him, spins him around, sends him to the back. With 42 to go, we had Busch in the lead again for a bit, but he ended up having to let Truex by. Truex is just so damn strong today, man. And then later on, leaders pit. Elliott, Harvick, and Reddick had tried a different strategy, but didn't work at the moment. And then with 19 to go, we have our second and final caution of the day. Denny Hamlin gets into the inside wall in turn 12. That leads him to the outside wall. At this point, I think he has a broke toe link even before he hits the wall. He definitely had one after he did. They do not repair that before the damaged vehicle policy clock runs out, which ends up putting Denny Hamlin 36th, dead last on the day. It's a very hit or miss last 3 weeks for Hamlin. You have him getting taken out by Chase Elliott in the 600, then turns around, has a great run at Gateway in the 6 hours of Gateway, and then last this week. But it was a rough time for him. But with that caution, Elliott, Reddick, and Blaney stay out. So with 16 to go, Elliott's in the lead. We get the restart. The 9 tries to run out and get as big a lead as possible, as that was probably the only defense he possibly could have against Truex. That doesn't work, though. 2 laps later, the 19 gets by. And at the same time, Tyler Reddick gets a flat tire, I believe due to some contact. And with that, spins, turns around backwards on the track through the little hairpin. And NASCAR, I think, ended up bopping him for that. And he would have to do a pass-through, I believe. Or stop. I think it was a pass-through. But that pushes Reddick back from, I believe, the 6th spot down to 33rd on the day. Rough time for Reddick, who I think going into this was one of the favorites for a lot of people. A lot of people picked Tyler Reddick for this race. And as the last 10 or so laps wind down, you have Eric Jones spinning with 11 to go, stalls the car. You're thinking, oh my God, we might get another caution. We might have a late race restart. We might, whatever. But he manages to get it going again. We don't have to worry about that, thankfully, I would say. And run out the last 10 laps or so. The only real big storyline in the last 10 laps, as Truex is running away, Busch stayed with him for a bit, but was that Ryan Blaney would spin from the top 10 off the bumper of Michael McDowell. Blaney, I believe, went down. Allmendinger had to avoid him. I don't think Allmendinger saw him coming, but those two kind of either got together or Blaney reacted. He's stuck in a bad angle into the corner. So was Allmendinger. They get together. McDowell is there, spins off the bumper of him. I think a pretty standard road course problem, just that everyone has from time to time. But then about half a lap later, Briscoe gets into him with an accordion effect. The 12 goes around again, and Briscoe gets pushed off, I believe, by Suarez into the dead Sonoma grass. God forbid we can't run this race before, May. But Martin Truex Jr. speeds off, gets that dub. Solid run for him. I wonder, let me double check if Jayski has it up yet, but I might be able to read you the playoff standings heading into the last 20 weeks of the season. Again, NBC coming back. Next race is in 2 weeks on NBC. I'll be at the track, but I'm going to try and do what we did with Darian, maybe Danny B and Eric, and we're going to see about getting post-race streams from the track, so you will not have to be worried about that at all. Looking for any points. So here is right now the playoff standings. So Bowman's up by 3. Bubba Wallace, I believe, is up by, I would say, 26, if I'm doing my math right. Then you have Keselowski up by nearly 100 points. Same goes to Chris Buescher. Harvick now is up by about 172, and Chastain's up by 173. I might have been wrong with my math a little bit. Those are the guys, points-wise, racing for that cutoff. Top 10 guys locked in the playoffs. I mean, you got Byron and Busch with 3 wins. Larson is now with Truex at 2 wins. And then Blaney, Bell, Hamlin, Logano, Reddick, and Stenhouse with 1 win. Those guys are all in. I do want to say all of the winners would be in the top 16, even without a win. Stenhouse would be right between Keselowski and Bubba, as would Tyler Reddick. Joey Logano would be right ahead of Buescher, as would Hamlin and Bell. Blaney would be is tied at the moment with Ross Chastain. The points leader is Martin Truex Jr., if I'm correct on this, 13 points above William Byron. So very strong playoff field in my opinion. No one yet has really been, honestly, no one yet has been a wild card winner. Going into the last couple weeks, usually in the last couple weeks of the season, like this, when there are 10 races remaining to the playoffs, you have at least one crazy winner. We have not had that yet. So at some point, this thing could get flipped upside down. So those guys on the cut line, they're safe now. But if somebody, say like a Ty Gibbs wins, say Chase Elliott does get a victory, Chase Elliott's the wild card in all of this. I think that's a storyline you got to look at going into the end of the season. Nashville, he, I believe, won there last year. Yes, he did. I was in his pit box. What am I doing? He won there last year. Hendrick's good because they've won with Larson the year before. So Hendrick is going to be very strong next in 2 weeks at Nashville, which To give you the rundown on that, I believe that one starts at 5 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. 7 p.m. Eastern time, Sunday night, June 25th on NBC. That's going to be the Nashville race. And then the week after that, you have the biggest wild card of the year, the Chicago Street Race, starting at 5:30 on July 2nd, the Grant Park 220. That's on NBC and MRN. I want to say this. I was listening to what some people were saying behind the scenes about the Chicago Street Race, and about the track layout. And there's one hill that kind of goes up, or there's one part of the track that goes uphill, like a turn. And these cars go uphill, and there's actually, I guess, a little lift. Like, they get a little lift off. And they then have to get right on the brakes as soon as that car gets back on the track. And if they mess up and hit the brakes before all the tires have that connection on, you're sliding straight into a wall. So we'll see. Either way, we're going to be covering it, more than likely covering it post-race. Same with most of the races the rest of the year. We're going to be here for you on that one. But it's going to be pretty nuts. By the way, I am going to stop the poll. When I asked if you thought it was legit, 56% of you said no, which means 44, or well, it says 43, but 44% said yes. Looking at the super chats, let's see if I can pick up where we were, and again, bring up anything else you guys want to talk about. We will not have a post-race stream next week because, well, there's no race next week. But we will have a stream this coming week or weekend. NASCAR Weekly Podcast is going to be on, where is it going to be on? It's going to be on Darian's channel on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and in two nights and Tuesday, the NR Cup Series. We're having our finale at Chicagoland. I believe 5 guys are in contention for the championship on IDK Players channel. I'm going to be announcing. It's going to be a lot of fun. But let's get into these super chats. Red Dog 81, we'll start back up with you for 2. Do you see all 16 spots getting in with wins or less? I think we're going to get guys with points. And I don't think it's going to be guys, I don't think Chastain and Harvick are going to be too much on the cut line, even if a couple more win. I personally think it's going to be 3 or 4 getting in off points. It's a competitive season, but it is not as competitive as last season. That's at least what I think about it. By the way, click that like button, y'all. Let's get those likes up there. Subscribe if you're new. We do this after pretty much every race. And then I'll give you my rating out of 10 once we get through these super chats here. Caleb, thank you for the 5. You guys remember when Fox cut away from 3 wide into turn 4? Pepperidge Farms remembers. Tyler, thank you for the 10. How much did you watch of Le Mans? I had the world feed and the onboard running at the same time. Love seeing a NASCAR race car passing the sports cars, not only on the straights, but in the corners as well. I will say that, and we'll talk more about this on Wednesday night on Darian's channel, but the 24-hour Le Mans NASCAR showing there, in my opinion, was damn impressive and was a statement to the rest of the world. It sounds like NASCAR, to everyone who was there, impressed. So, good. NASCAR had a good week, even if this race wasn't necessarily the greatest. Again, I'll give that rating in a bit. But I think, the fact that they finished was amazing. We've never really seen a NASCAR race car ever go more than 6 hours. At least not in modern times. So I think that was really impressive. And I am happy to see NASCAR showing out to the rest of the world and not being a laughing stock to the rest of the racing world, but in a lot of ways showing out. It's good to be a NASCAR fan still, I think. I think it's good to be a NASCAR fan right now. Fred Dog 81, thank you for the 2. Is Suarez in serious trouble? No show today. Suarez has been off this year. He's on the cut line now, but I still think 1 or 2 guys below him might get a win. I think he might still have to get off of wins. I might be wrong. I probably am. Pretty wrong with a lot of predictions. But Suarez has been just not right compared to last year. Let me pull up how he's been doing. I think a lot of it is Trackhouse. They probably got ahead early on the next gen. And you saw as the season went on last year, even Ross Chastain wasn't exactly great. But let's look at Suarez's results and kind of maybe do a mini deep dive. I mean, he has 1 top 5 on the year, 5 top 10s. Let's look at his last couple races. Yeah, it's not pretty. So the last 6 races here: 35th after a crash at Dover, 15th at Kansas, 34th at Darlington with a crash, 23rd in a 600, got a 7th last week, which a lot of us said that was a much needed top 10, and 22nd at the track he won at last year in Sonoma this week. So, and it wasn't much better before. From Phoenix through Bristol Dirt, a 5-race span, he finished between 22nd and 29th each week after starting out with 4 top 10s and was 3rd in points after 3 weeks. So it's been pretty rough for Daniel Suarez. I don't see any quick turnaround with this team. If anything, I see them probably going a little further back. I see guys like Gibbs improving. I see Bubba improving. I think Bowman will improve the further he gets from that injury. We saw that with Denny Hamlin when he had a similar injury back in 2013. It took a while, but Bowman seems to be better than he was after his injury. So I don't see it getting better for Suarez. Now, he could turn around and win. He has shown before where he'll just go out and have winning speed out of nowhere. So it's not. I don't think it's as easy as a quick fix personally. M. Martin fan for life. Thank you for being a member for 3 months. Yeah. Finally a post-race show. Thank God Fox is done. Do you mean for me or for Fox? Either way, I want to do much more of these. I miss being on here every week, even if being in the media center is really cool and fun. I love being on here with y'all after these races. I love seeing what you think. So, some are saying, Suarez had transmission issues. I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was also kind of self-inflicted because he went from, instead of 2nd to 3rd, 2nd to 1st. And that's going to do it. That's going to probably give you some issues as the day goes on. But it's been rough. I mean, he's had bad luck, yes, but he's run in an area where you make your own luck in a lot of ways and being mid-pack. So it's going to be rough. And then thank God Fox is done. I agree. I'm so glad Fox is done. I hope to God that the new contract makes them better. Doubt it, but I hope. Tyler, thank you for the 5. I said the caution was legit. If a crew member ran out, they would be penalized, and if official did it, it wouldn't be any safer. Yeah, and it was probably that Fox didn't show, that there was somebody coming. Fox isn't given much context all year. It sucks, but that's kind of how it is. So I can definitely see that perspective of it. It probably was the case personally. I think it probably was now thinking more about it. So that's a good call there, Tyler. NASCAR or Napa Racing Fan 927, thank you for 5. Here's my proposal for Sonoma. Cup only doubleheader. Carousel Saturday, shoot Sunday. Make them sprints at 200K or 250K, or put it in a rotating date. I don't think it's Sonoma's the problem. I think it's car. I think the car is just this road course short track package is junk. It's fixed up. They kind of tidied it up, but it's like going into an episode of Hoarders and they cleaned one room, but you're cleaning a hoarder's mansion. Like, there's still plenty they got to fix with this thing. I don't think it gets fixed this year. I really don't. The big telling point to me is when Martinsville is routinely a mediocre to bad race, it's a package problem because Martinsville is not a mediocre to bad track. It puts on, look at most of the Gen 6 era at Martinsville when it wasn't completely neutered horsepower. The races were beautiful to watch. I can't think of any race outside of a 550 race that I did not enjoy in some way at Martinsville. And this package, in my opinion, is the culprit more than, and the car is more of the culprit than the tracks. That's my thoughts, at least. But I wouldn't mind some of these races doing like a Monday night NASCAR kind of thing, having scheduled primetime races and seeing if it works out. Instead of the midweek stuff. Midweek has been proven not to work. Saturday day races for Cup have been proven not to work too much based on the Pocono ratings. So It's tricky. There's stuff the fans we would like, but it's also tricky to get stuff that people will tune in for more and help the sport. Chris, thank you for the 5. Move Sonoma to Auto Club spot on the schedule next year for the early West Coast swing and bring back Road America for the 4th of July weekend. I would be fine with both of those, but I do not think after the ratings collapse that Road America had last year, I don't know if they'd bring them back for a cup race. Monday Night NASCAR racing or Monday Night Racing with Hank Williams Jr. I love it. I can already hear the song being sang now. Andrew, thank you for the 5. Something that annoys the crap out of me about Fox is their broadcasters openly begging for cautions. Clint did it several times today. I hate it. Yeah, I don't like that either. I don't have much more to say. I don't like it. There needs to be a complete overhaul of what Fox does with NASCAR on broadcasts. There's stuff they do during the week, race hub. From what it seems like, people really like it. I don't think you need to mess with that, but broadcast-wise, definitely got to mess with it. I see in the chat, I heard Josh Berry going to SHR. Yeah, that's what I heard too. I think he's going to the 4. They might announce it in Nashville. At least what I've seen on social media, rumor-wise. I don't know, though. I thought they were going to announce it at the 600 too. Michael Kelly Gilliam, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate it. Isaac, thank you for the 5. Now that we're basically done with the first half, who has surprised you the most and who has disappointed you the most besides Legacy Motor Club? Surprised me the most, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I think after last year and how bad he was, quarter, if not over a quarter of his races being DNFs, I was not expecting anything from him. And the fact that he's been a top 10 to 15 guy is impressive. As for who's disappointed me the most, that's a rough one. I know a lot of people that hate on him want to say Chase Elliott, but that's not fair being half the season he's been out. Disappointment, man. That's rough. I mean, I guess Suarez might be up there. Briscoe. Maybe Briscoe. AJ Allmendinger. I thought he'd be a lot better. He has been not much more than a moving chicane most of the year. It's been rough if you're a fan of any of those guys. Let's see. Which race are you most looking forward to over the summer? That's another one that's kind of tough. I mean, Daytona's the cop-out answer, though anymore, super speedway racing hasn't been the greatest for me. At least I haven't been a fan too much of recent super speedways. Cindric might be another disappointment, by the way. There's been a lot of disappointments. Jones, definitely. As for race I'm looking forward to, probably Michigan. I think after the showing they had last year, the showing that Auto Club has had with this new car and intermediates in general, Michigan is the one I'm looking forward to the most. The racing last year was badass. Sly Supersonic, thank you for the 8. Congratulations to Truex. My guy Rowdy worked that strategy perfectly to get second. Good race overall. It felt like a 2000 Sonoma Raceway race. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say because I wasn't too much a fan of the Gen 4 Sonoma races, I think it kind of felt like that. It was not a banger by any means. I was intrigued by the fact that we might have been caution-free. I would have loved that. Irvin Alvarado, thank you for the 10. So a NASCAR car can last 24 hours, even with driveline issues. What do you believe NASCAR can learn about their car going forward after Le Mans? Also, should NASCAR participate in more endurance racing? Well, I'll answer that one quick. I think it'd be really cool if they're able to do so. I think it's good for NASCAR to branch out to other forms of motorsports in some way. So I would say yes on that. As for what they can learn, I mean, there's plenty of things. Probably endurance of the parts, probably different things that will the endurance of the parts, in my opinion, they can learn, and that will help probably in the whole cost-cutting measures of how they might be able to improve certain things. That's how at least me as a layperson would see it. Could be wrong, but that's how I see it, as well as so many other things. Probably like how they stack up to the rest of the world, different things like that. There's probably things they don't even want to talk about that they've learned that they can implement into this, into the next gen car moving forward. Tyler, thank you for the 5. Do you think a multi-class NASCAR race could happen on a large road course? And if it did, would it be as good as people would think? I'm going to be very much as I would love to see it. If you do the full fields for it, no, I do not think putting, a full field of that would be 36 plus 36 times 2 is 72 plus another 38. Putting 110 cars on the track would be a no-go. I think you could do it maybe as an exhibition and cut the fields of Xfinity, Truck, and Cup down a little bit, but I don't think it would be something feasible to do. I think it'd be nuts. If NASCAR wanted chaos, they got their chaos with that. So I don't personally think it would work. It'd be an interesting little experiment, though. That'd be something. Napa Racing Fan 927, thank you for the 2. Eric Almirola, bacon and wine. Should Sonoma be Cup only? I thought the truck race was pretty good. I think the problem is cost to the truck teams of getting them out there. So maybe it has to be a one race deal. On a weekend, you have Cup out there, and from there you maybe have Xfinity go back to the Milwaukee Mile with the trucks. I mean, the trucks are there at the Milwaukee Mile later in August. They do a standalone away from Daytona. Maybe do a doubleheader of the lower series. Maybe ARCA at Milwaukee. Maybe that's where you do Road America. I mean, you move your Mid-Ohio one there. But I don't think money-wise it would be smart to keep putting these lower series out on the West Coast over and over again. I get there's a bye week. But I do think that's probably something NASCAR should look at. Then maybe there'll need to be a realignment. Maybe Sonoma does get moved for the first time ever outside of like the 16th race of the season to earlier in the year when those teams are out there. I think personally, oversaturating an area too much with races could cause issues with attendance, not so much with ratings. That's something that NASCAR might have to look at if the tracks get less money comparatively to the teams. But that might be something is you get all of them out there in just one run in the West Coast, because it is hard to get from North Carolina over there as quickly. Dale Dawson, thank you for the 5. As a former Kyle hater that became a fan, I have to say he's a championship 4 favorite now. Maybe Larson too. Kyle and Kyle. I would love nothing more this year than to see the Kyle and Kyle show be the fight for the championship. I do worry a little bit about Kyle Busch at certain races, and his consistency has been a little off, but that's been the case with most drivers. I can't think of a driver who has been consistent that hasn't had some kind of issue rise up or bad luck or something like that. So I think they're both very big contenders. And then Hunter, thank you for the 5. Part of me wishes that for Le Mans, the Garage 56 program could have 3 cars, 1 Chevy, 1 Ford, and 1 Toyota. That is something I think NASCAR has to look at. If they do this again or something similar, probably have to bring in Toyota or a Ford team. I don't think having Hendrick get the early jump on anything that might be implemented from this is a way to keep that trust between the teams and the sanctioning body. That's my take on it. Rowdy Every Point, thank you for the 5. 2 big points races for the 8. If they can continue the momentum, they can definitely still win regular season trophy again for the 3rd time. I think they can. They need those playoff points from it. Whoever gets those playoff points is automatically put at such a good advantage over the rest of the field with that. Tyler, thank you for another 5. Bruh, NASCAR Clash, Daytona Road Course, previous year winners in each series, plus past champions. NASCAR, write that down. I get Daytona Road Course, but I was at the Clash at Daytona. It was boring. Everyone remembers the finish. I did not like that race personally, and I was in attendance. It's tough in attendance, but it is good for ratings outside of a Tuesday night when they ran it. So I guess maybe, but I personally think that it's a fun thought experiment, but unless you have a track specifically made for NASCAR endurance races, I think it's too hard to pull off, even for NASCAR. I don't underestimate much from NASCAR, but at that point, like if they could pull that off, I would underestimate that. And then Marky Mark, thank you for the 2. Say it with me, folks. NBC. Yes, and I think that'll be a great place to end off this this edition of the post-race stream. I gotta get a name for this at some point. But it's been fun, y'all. It has been fun. Like I said, plenty of stuff coming up. NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Black Flags Matters channel this week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We got the NR Cup Series finale on IDK Players channel. I'll be on both of those, commentating for the NR Cup Series on Tuesday night and commenting on everything that has happened in this past week on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. And then tentatively Saturday, we're doing that novel stream. That'll be a lot of fun. But y'all, I got to get home, have dinner with my family, get a little work done, all that good stuff. And then we will, I'll be heading back on home. But you guys all have a great night. I had a ton of fun with you. And until next time, have a good one. Night, y'all.